Spring had returned to Skopje, and with it, the scent of blooming lindens mixed with the rich aroma of coffee from the old bazaar. Amar, no longer the hesitant stranger, stood at the construction site of the new lighthouse in the northern district. Beside him was Drayton, a young man who had just arrived from the mountains, seeking work. "Last year, I was where you are," Amar said, handing Drayton a sturdy pair of work gloves. "In this city, the weight of a stone is lighter when shared." In the familiar warmth of his workshop, Zikir the metalworker watched Amar refine his craft. They were creating the twin lantern, a massive copper piece intended for the second lighthouse. The design featured interlocking circles, symbolizing the connection between the two sides of the river. "Precision comes from the heart as much as the hand," Zikir noted, guiding Amar's chisel. "Every strike you make today will guide someone home tomorrow night." At the bakery, the morning air was thick with flour and the heat of the ovens. Luann was now a master of the rhythm, tossing dough with a confidence that made Uncle Adam smile from his corner. They were preparing special unity loaves, braided bread that combined recipes from different neighborhoods. "Tradition is not a museum, Luann," Uncle Adam said, tapping his flour-dusted chest. "It is a living fire that we must feed every single day." Hannah and a new volunteer, Selma, spent the afternoon organizing mobile light baskets. These weren't just for the local bazaar. They were destined for the elderly residents in the steep, winding alleys of the northern hills. Selma carefully placed jars of honey and dried figs into the woven reeds. "We are the bridge," Hannah told her. "The river flows under us, but it is our footsteps that carry the kindness from one bank to the other." Elif stood with Besom amidst the skeletal frame of the new building. The blueprints they held were weathered, covered in notes and coffee stains. They discussed how to preserve the ancient stone foundation while building a modern, glass-walled community room above it. "We are weaving the past into the future," Elif remarked. Besom nodded, his eyes reflecting the blue of the Vardar. "A city that remembers its roots never fears the wind." Mrs. Fatima sat on the porch of the original lighthouse, a group of children gathered at her feet, including young Vedat. She wasn't teaching them to read, but rather to listen to the sound of the river, the call to prayer, and the stories of the families who had lived in the bazaar for centuries. "Each of you is a thread," she told Vedat, letting him hold an old silver key. "If one thread breaks, the tapestry is weaker. Keep your neighbors close." The heavy lifting began as the sun dipped toward the horizon. Arben and Izet worked together to hoist the massive, hand-carved oak doors into place at the entrance of the new lighthouse. Their muscles strained against the weight of the wood, their breaths synchronized in the cooling air. "This door will never be locked," Izet grunted as the hinges finally clicked. "A home for the city must always have its arms open." A sudden spring downpour threatened the outdoor preparations for the first joint iftar of the two houses. Thunder rolled over the Kale fortress, and the sky turned a bruised purple. Elif and Arben rushed to the courtyard, pulling a heavy canvas tarp over the long communal tables and the crates of supplies. Rain soaked their clothes, but they worked with a frantic, shared energy. "The water can't dampen the spirit," Arben shouted over the roar of the rain. As the rain softened into a gentle mist, the first iftar in the northern district began. The building was unfinished, with exposed beams and raw floors, but it was filled with warmth. Hannah and Dritten stood at the head of a long line, ladling steaming lentil soup into bowls for hundreds of neighbors. The steam rose to the rafters, carrying the message of welcome. Amar watched from the side, realizing that the circle of belonging had finally crossed the river. Late that night, Elif and Amar walked to the center of the stone bridge. They looked left toward the old bazaar, where the original lighthouse glowed like a steady ember. They looked right toward the northern district, where the twin lantern now pulsed with a new, vibrant light. "Skopje has two hearts now," Amar said softly. Elif leaned against the cool stone railing. "No, Amar," she replied. "It has one heart, and it is finally big enough for everyone."